Hi, welcome back to the Scent Advocate. Today I'm going to talk about a Guerlain, classic Guerlain haul that I did. And I didn't really intend to do this. I kind of got caught up in looking at some vintage fragrances, reflecting back on family, over the holidays, thinking about what my grandparents used to wear, my grandmothers, I should say, my mom. And I don't know, it just made me feel nostalgic, so it felt like a good time to look at a classic house a little bit more closely. So I did. And I ended up with 4 new fragrances from the House of Guerlain. And I think I will start out with this one. This is Black Perfecto by Le Petit Rose Noir. And this fragrance is 50 ml eau de parfum, and it was a blind buy. Yeah, I still can't believe I did that. But the notes stood out to me as really special, and I do have another fragrance from this line that I absolutely love, so I thought it might be safe. And I was absolutely correct. So this time of year, I think, at least for me, I'm, probably like a lot of you, I'm attracted to darker, more heavy fragrances, not necessarily that you couldn't wear them in the warmer weather, but just something to kind of warm your heart and make you feel cozy when it's cold outside. So this fragrance, it's a dark, jammy, I guess like a cassis maybe, almost like a mulled wine going on in the background, but not tannic. Not, how wine can sometimes make you do that, the tannins, it's not here. But it's got that kind of Concord grape thing going on in the background, but not sweet. It's just the fragrance of it. And the cassis, maybe a currant, those kinds of fruits. There's a flower. It's probably an iris or an orris as well. It's slightly powdery, but not very powdery. And the floral is there to kind of give it something of a clean, uplifted, lighter feel. And not that it's a flower forward fragrance, at least not to me. The bottle is perfectly beautiful. It absolutely captures the fragrance. So this was bottled perfectly. The projection is pretty good and the longevity is fantastic. This is one of the few instances that I've experienced where the projection is modest enough for work. It's generally likable, but the projection, the longevity is really, really good. A lot of times for me, the projection is big and the longevity is more limited, or if the projection is big, the longevity is big. In this case, the longevity is big, the projection is modest. This definitely leans feminine, and I would say it's perfect any time of the day in the cold weather. If you're going to wear it in the warmer months, my recommendation would be for evening. Black Perfecto by Guerlain. Moving on to Insolence. I've always wondered about this fragrance. Those of you who are familiar with the channel know that I'm not really a floral person, but this is a strong iris, and iris, violet, any expression of iris, by the way, or violet, and the banana-like notes of ylang ylang work well for me. There's no ylang ylang in this. I'm just telling you about my fragrance, floral fragrance exceptions. But this is an iris, and it is a beautiful classic fragrance that, it's just extremely powdery. It's not the most complex iris I've ever smelled, but I really do like it. It's a springtime fragrance. It definitely leans feminine. I think it would be fine day or night. It would have pretty good projection, and the longevity is great, you know? So this was a successful purchase for me, admittedly a blind buy. So this is the second Guerlain blind buy for me. It was just, again, I was really attracted to the notes, and I'm kind of glad this is happening. Not that I'm an advocate of blind buys, but I'm getting to know myself better, and not being a perfumer, not being, you know, this decades experienced nose, I am starting to make really good bets when it comes to blind buys. And again, I don't do it often. I don't recommend it. The thing about these fragrances, they are exceptionally well priced. So if we were talking about a fragrance that was $300, $400, $500, I would not, absolutely not make a blind buy. I don't care how good the notes look to me and how well I know myself. But in this instance, I really wanted these, and I am glad I read the notes and the combination of the notes in a way that worked. I was successfully able to navigate what I was reading, and I'm really glad I took a chance with these. Beautiful. The dry down is pretty close to what you get at the opening. There are no surprises here, and that works perfectly fine for me. I didn't have a pure iris fragrance, and this is definitely giving me that. I'm not getting much more. I guess a little bit of a blonde wood in the background, or it could be a very light musk. That's possible too. Something else is going on in the background, but it is taking such a backseat to the iris that it's really hard for me to discern. Now, this is a classic, and I could not recommend it more if you love powdery iris. And this is Insolence by Guerlain. Next up, we've got Mitsouko. This is an eau de parfum. This is 75 ml. Oh, I forgot to mention with Insolence, this was 75 ml and also eau de parfum. These fragrances, by the way, tend to be popular in eau de toilette. I've not tried them in eau de toilette. This was another blind buy. Okay, I've heard a lot about Mitsouko EDT. I was a little bit nervous, but I thought I'd take a chance. You know, again, the price point was really good. I was very curious. I've heard this fragrance compared a lot to Diaghilev. I love this so much, and I was afraid that it would be too similar to have both in my collection. That's not true, in my opinion. There are similarities, but they are very different in many ways. They just feel different. This is a much more modern, edgier, it's just got, I don't want to get too much into Diaghilev. I'll talk about it another time. It is, by the way, spectacular, and in my opinion, as fragrances go, they are never, you know, worth breaking the bank, of course. But for me, this was something worth saving up for and getting. So I'm really pleased with that. And I'm also pleased with Mitsouko. Mitsouko is more of a classic fragrance. It is a beautiful sheep. The oak moss to me is more pronounced. It's airier. It's got a bit more cumin. I don't care for cumin in fragrances. I know a lot of people feel it smells like an unpleasant human odor, and in many instances I agree. Not the case with this. This is an intimate fragrance. This is not what I would recommend for a blind buy for everyone. It's unusual. Strong oak moss, strong, you know, citrus up front, probably a labdanum in the center, that oak moss in the base. It's dry, airy, very pretty, less masculine than Diaghilev may present. This smells on paper a little bit more feminine than it does on my skin. On my skin, the cumin comes out a bit. In fact, it presents on my skin as a bit more like civet, but not an overly pronounced civet. So if you're not into animalics, I think you'd probably be fine if you can manage a little bit of it. So the thing about Mitsouko is this is just classic, and I am thrilled I bought it. Probably not the best blind buy choice. I took a chance. Like I said, the price was right. I love Diaghilev. I've definitely gone down this niche kind of sheep rabbit hole, and I'm loving every minute of it. This appeals to me. It may not appeal to you. Best thing you could do is try it. Worst case scenario, you will experience a work of olfactive art. This is a classic worth checking out. Mitsouko. The last fragrance from this classic Guerlain haul is Jicky. This is 75 ml Eau de Parfum. I have been curious about Jicky for maybe close to 10 years. I've been enjoying Guerlain for almost 20. I started out with L'Instant, and not this particular bottle, but this is probably my third bottle. I absolutely love this. It wasn't part of the haul, so I'll talk about it another time. Every time I shop for Guerlain, I noticed this fragrance, Jicky. It seemed like a cute name. I was curious about it, but years ago, I really wasn't into artistic fragrances or niche fragrances, certainly not anything classic necessarily. So I always saw it, but I never acted on it. With this recent bout of nostalgia I've been having, it seemed like the perfect time. So I got it. And it arrived today, again, a blind buy. I really didn't know what to expect other than the notes seemed like they would work for me, that it would be something I'd enjoy. I did a lot of studying up on different opinions about it, reformulation possibilities, etc. And I felt fairly safe, given the price point, in taking the leap, and I am so glad I did. But this one is tricky. Jicky is tricky. That sounds ridiculous. I'll probably edit that out. This fragrance, another instant where spraying it on the paper is one thing and spraying it on your skin is completely different. At least it is for me. On the paper, it's altogether beautiful, very airy, youthful, happy, citrus but not too sweet, a little complex, possibly some of that oak moss in the background. I'm really not sure. If it's there, it's just hinted at. It's not really pronounced, but there's something going on. I don't think it's a patchouli. I do think it's oak moss, but it's very, very faint. And yeah, it strikes me as a floral, very citrus forward sheep. Beautiful stuff. On my skin, however, oh yeah, if you've read the reviews on this, you may have read that it can smell like mothballs. And on my skin, after the opening, I get mothballs. However, it dries down in 2 to 3 minutes and it becomes like nothing I've ever experienced before. So far, the problem I have with it is it's not lasting and no one around me can smell it. So I did one spray on my arm. I'm putting it in front of my husband. I put it in front of my daughter. I put it in front of my mother, and no one can smell it after about 30 minutes. I can smell it, but it's faint. I reapplied and I got more longevity from it. It lasted 2 hours maybe, but my first application was very, very light because I was still testing it. So my concern about this is the longevity. This is a powdery, lemony, beautiful, light sheep. Very unusual. What sticks out to me the most is the lemon. It's like a lemonade that isn't overly sweet with that beautiful aroma that only comes from the rind. So it's like this candied lemon rind with an orris powder just enveloping it. It's really special. It's really unique. And I think if this were any stronger, I'd probably still love it. But I don't know if as many people would love it. I don't know. This is really awesome. The mothballs, I'm not smelling them this time. Earlier today when I sprayed it for the first time, I got mothballs, but just for a little while. And then it went away and it became this beautiful thing. The more I smell it, the more I fall in love with it. You ever have that happen? Let me know in the comments. I've had it happen with a few fragrances, and Mitsouko, definitely. I mean, I loved Mitsouko and I knew I would, but I love it even more the more I wear it. This, I'm having the exact same experience. It's like falling in love, only, you know, easier. So, wow, beautiful, beautiful stuff. Leans feminine, but I would say this is probably safely a unisex. Same with Mitsouko, unisex. I don't know if I mentioned that before. This is, gosh, I would wear it any time of year, but I think it's probably best in the warmer weather. I think you'd probably be okay perspiring in it. You know, I can't imagine wearing it to go have a workout, but if you did, I think you'd be safe enough. I would definitely recommend trying this. And if you are interested in doing a blind buy, I wouldn't make this my first choice. Among the ones I showed you today, probably Insolence and Black Perfecto would be the safest blind buys. That said, I absolutely love Jicky. Check it out if you get a chance. Okay, so that is it for the classic Guerlain haul. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. I'm trying to build up the channel, and I absolutely love it when you leave me comments, you guys. It makes my day. I would love to hear any other classic Guerlain fragrances that you've tried that you think I might enjoy trying myself. There were a few that I passed by, some Sarah being one. There's another one, the Blue Hour, and I can't remember how it's said in French. For one reason or another, I ended up passing on those, but I am still considering them. So if you know anything about them, let me know. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of the night. Bye.